So guys, I'm with Cody Hallford right now, the writer, director, and producer of his own feature-length film, Little Notes to Heaven. You guys can go check it out on PureFlix right now. How long is it running till?
It should be running for, we have a contract for it about 5 years on PureFlix.
Oh,
so
nice.
They have 5 years to
Good.
watch it.
All right, so you guys got some time. Don't procrastinate, though. Go and see it. My wife is in it. I mean,
Yeah, she's the main star.
Yeah.
It's like you gotta promote that.
I'm kind of throwing a shameless plug. But no, I mean, I've known Cody, gosh, for what? It's been a couple of years.
It's been, it's started Little Notes, so maybe like 2 years now.
Yeah.
So,
but I mean, instantly when I met Cody, and you guys will meet his wife Kelsey here in a little bit, but instantly I just felt like they were a couple of individuals I felt who were very inspiring in.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man, absolutely. In the ways of stepping out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
And doing something that you love to do,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and this is the whole reason for Intention Attention is to encourage people to step out of that comfort zone and really operate in the giftings that they are called or they feel like they would just love to do for the rest of their lives. With that being said, I mean, kind of give us a little brief rundown of yourself, just so, like I said, he's the director of this feature-length film, which I thought was awesome. But yeah, kind of tell them a little bit about yourself.
I'm Cody Hallford. I started out kind of in the film world with acting, actually. So I started acting in film when I was about 12 years old, probably somewhere around there. I did theater since I was 6, but it was just like school plays and stuff, so not that big of a deal. But I started acting when I was 12, and then eventually that just sort of moved into directing and editing and all that good stuff, because what I started realizing was I could just start making movies myself and putting myself in them. So it was maybe like a little self-centered or something, but it's a lot of fun, and just started learning the ropes of editing and directing, writing scripts and all that good stuff. I started out making short films, made several short films, had some of them get into some film festivals, and just recently we made a feature film called Little Notes to Heaven, which is now on PureFlix, as you said, and hopefully we'll be getting DVD distribution for it sometime soon as well. And also, too, we are working on developing 2 TV series right now.
Very awesome. And
we're pitching around commercials and stuff. So, also, too, we're an established company now. We are Unseen Path Productions, LLC.
All right.
We are an official video production company and everything. So, it's been pretty cool, and hopefully we get to grow more in the future.
Now, so I guess I didn't know you started when you were 6. Is that what you said?
I did theater when I was 6.
Okay.
I was in a play called Hansel and Gretel.
Yeah. And
I got Hansel, and I think, I was an only child, so I loved getting attention. So that's how it started off. It was pretty much like, look at me.
Yeah. Okay, a little bit of a self-centered reason. That's fine. Most of the people we talk to today is like, I got into it for my grandfather. No, Cody got into it for himself. So, that's cool, whatever.
Yeah, my parents were like, are we sure we should be encouraging him to like act and stuff? Because they just heard so many stories, and I was always kind of between football and theater, especially in high school. So, not that I would have been going to the NFL or anything, but it was one of those things. Like at the time, it was like that choice there. So yeah.
That's awesome. Now, did you attend any college?
I went to TCC for a couple of years. Okay. But no, I have not finished school though.
Okay.
Much to some people's,
Look, whatever works out. Quentin Tarantino. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah. Well, I've always been told by just fellow film people and stuff that it's okay not to go to school as long as you are really, really working hard at your craft. Now, time will tell whether that's actually true personally or not for me.
Yeah.
But that's what I've always been told, and that's how I've always learned, was just by stepping into stuff and start doing it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's a huge thing. I guess one of the biggest questions that we've had today is that, fear is often a big crippler for people from stepping out and to really try something at all. Tell us about one of those moments where fear was a huge issue for you and how you overcame that fear to step out and start doing this stuff.
Well, I think there's a story that I love telling people, actually. It's when it was right before we were about to make Little Notes to Heaven, our first feature film ever. And like I said, we'd made several short films, but I don't think even then we didn't realize how much of a workload it was going to be, especially since we had such a small crew.
Yeah.
So but there was a moment before we started filming or anything where I was having to go through and plan production days and figure out when we were going to shoot and like how many days it was going to take to shoot these scenes, and we already had the whole script and everything. Yeah. And I remember going up, talking to my mom about it, actually, and I went up to her and I was like, Mom, like this is crazy, like I can't do this, we don't even have a budget for this thing, this is stupid and crazy. She was like, she said something inspirational like, listen, we're just going to take it a day at a time, we're going to take it a scene at a time right now, and she just sat down with me and helped me plan out those days. So that was really a huge pivotal learning moment for me, because it's just the idea of like you just have to push through and do it, you just have to take those steps and do it, and at the end of the day you can always use fear as an excuse to not do anything.
Absolutely. Actually, our interview, a couple of interviews before this, we talked to Sterling Gross, who is with Drum Cubes, and we were kind of relating on the same level that when you're starting off, you have to be everything to everybody.
Yeah.
And which can be very quickly overwhelming in a lot of situations. I mean,
you mean like wearing all kinds of hats?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Okay,
you got to put on your production hat, your producer hat, your director hat. You're scheduling. You're also your own assistant and all that kind of stuff. And that stuff can come down to you pretty hard, really fast. So I mean, just even doing some of this, it's kind of like, man, this is a lot going on at once.
Yeah, no kidding. It's like, and then, afterward, it's almost like you have to explain in detail to people about how, like, you bled and sweat over this project, and it's like they still don't get it,
Now, I guess, was there somebody that inspired you to do this, or was it really just, like you said before, kind of just to see how far you can take it, how far you could go?
Like professionally or personally?
Both. Okay.
So there's probably like 3 like people that inspired me the most. Professionally, Christopher Nolan definitely was my biggest inspiration, because he's one of the greatest examples of he just started doing it, and he just made his feature film and went on from there. Christopher Nolan, huge inspiration. I love that guy, and I don't think I've disliked a single movie he's put out either, which is saying something huge. But then my parents as well, they've always been a huge support, and just being those people that always told me, like, you just have to do it, you just have to push through and do it. Take risks. That's what they always told me, is take risks. And then lastly, but certainly not least, my wife Kelsey. She wasn't my wife at the time, like we were starting all this up, but through it all, she's just been like such a huge, tremendous comfort and inspiration to me, because she's an artist as well. She's a singer, and she just like her ideas and her passion about things, like it inspires me every day. Like I told her at one point, I would not have made Little Notes to Heaven if it weren't for her, like being there and being this inspiration to me for it. So it's like you got to be that person for other people, because
absolutely.
That's what makes the world go around.
The things that you went through, I mean, going through adversity, wearing so many hats, self-learning, failures, successes. I mean, mostly failures, because 1,000 lessons in failures. Without those failures and those struggles, would you be where you're at today?
Absolutely not. I would absolutely not be where I'm at today without failures. I mean, and that's one of the great things about, well, I guess it wouldn't be a great thing, but it's one of those life lesson things about acting, is that you face rejection like pretty much all the time.
Right.
Like even if you're famous, you know, even if you made it, you went through constant rejection to get there. And I think you just use the rejection and the failure that you do within, you know, those projects that you're working on in order to get better and also learn more about yourself too. And it also just, it pushes you, as far as filmmaking specifically goes, failure pushes you to become a better storyteller with what you're doing, because you learn like what carves stories well by learning what doesn't carve them well. You know. Exactly. So it makes you more attentive about what you're doing. It makes you work harder and so on and so forth. So
what do you think it is about success that scares people?
I think the thing about success that scares people is not reaching it, if that makes sense. I think people set up this perfect idea of what success looks like in their heads, and the culture tells us what success looks like. And I think when we don't reach that and we don't do that, we feel unsuccessful. But I mean, I think really the ultimate thing is that, like, success is not just in some sort of status or anything. Like, sometimes success is simply about that you took the time to do what you love, you know? Like, sometimes that's really the success story in it, that even if you fail at something, you still did it, you know? So that to me is success. It's more about the journey rather than the outcome, if that makes any sense.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, Gary, I don't know if you follow Gary Vaynerchuk at all, but he is pretty inspirational to me. And he's always talking about the journey so much more than the, you know, the outcome.
Yeah. Well, it's like, it's almost kind of painful to admit too, you know, because you want it, it's like, no, because you go on the journey for the outcome to be good, you know, but it really is like, it really is that, that travel, that adventure that you get to go on and doing whatever you're doing, that is the real treasure.
Absolutely. And the people that you meet along the way, I'm sure you met a lot of cool people.
Yeah, definitely.
This whole process of doing little notes.
Including you.
And you know, and now we're in the spot together.
Yeah, including you.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's crazy how life just works. Like, you know, I mean, and what's really crazy, and it's one thing that I found, and I don't know if it's kind of the same, you know, experience for you, but whenever you put yourself out there and decide that, hey, this is what I'm going to do, this is what I love to do, this is what I'm going to wake up every day and strive for, that it just kind of, you kind of click in a life path, and you find yourself running into other people who have the same goals, mentality, and passions as you, and you kind of start to, you know, feed off those people, and they support you and whatnot, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
One thing that a lot of actors that I've talked to, they do a lot of self-sabotaging. How many times have you self-sabotaged yourself?
What do you mean specifically by self-sabotage?
I mean, not go for an audition, take a role, I mean, not try something because you have this perception of how it's going to go, so you kind of talk yourself out of doing something.
Honestly, I don't know that I really do a whole lot of self-sabotaging as far as that's concerned. I think that there have been things that I've talked myself out of. Okay, here's the deal. This might be a little bit of a different answer than you've gotten, but I think the deal with me is that I felt so much more guilty about not taking projects that I probably shouldn't have gone for.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Like, it was more of like, you get to a point where you have, you know, self-respect, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not saying that people who take whatever don't, but it had more to do with like, well, do I want to do this this horror movie where, you know, like I'm gonna be like with a whole bunch of bad content in it and stuff, and it's like, there's a part of me that's like, oh, that's an opportunity I'm turning down, but there's another part of me that's, like, I shouldn't take that project.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know if that really like answers your question, but
I mean, to each his own, man. I mean, everyone's gonna have a different experience in every kind of area. You know what I mean? So for me, I know. And go ahead.
Well, I will say though, maybe it's more what you mean is that I've definitely had situations of self-doubt. So there have been auditions that I've gone out for, and I still did them, and I still did the work for them. But the whole time I was just like, I'm not right for this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not right for this, and I'm never going to be able to do this, that sort of thing. And I'm sure that affected the work I did, even though I thought, well, I'm still doing the work. So.
Right.
But if you do it methodically and you don't believe in yourself, that's going to come across to people.
Absolutely.
Always.
Absolutely. I mean, it's kind of, I don't know, I feel like people can kind of smell that.
Mm-hmm.
What I mean? No matter what kind of air you put on, if you have a self-doubt in yourself, people can notice that.
Yeah, exactly.
A wise teacher once said, do or do not, there is no try. What do those words mean to you?
Well, I think that just means that you have to take risks. You have to push yourself. You have to do the things that challenge you and do things that you never would have imagined yourself doing. I never would have imagined myself making a feature film. That scared me. But it gets to a certain point where no matter what, you just have to finish, and you have to do that finish line. And like we were mentioning earlier, it is about the journey, and the journey has to have a finish line. You don't just attempt it and then stop. You have to push through. You have to try and complete that journey.
Yeah. One of the things that I said to one of my friends, it was kind of ridiculous. It was very simplistic in its meaning, but yet it was very weighty.
Yeah.
And it was regarding fitness. And I was telling her, if you don't start, you'll never start. Mm-hmm. And like I said, it's very funny. It's very, like I said, very simple. But to a lot of people, that's a huge thing. Not starting something. Cody, I really thank you for coming out and hanging out this day and doing the interview. I know you guys got a busy schedule.
No, man, it's awesome. Thank you.
But kind of in conclusion, tell us a little bit about Unseen Path. I know you guys have some more projects on the horizon that you kind of touch base on a little bit. Kind of where do you see yourself as far as in the future with Unseen Path Productions?
Well, the goal is to be making TV series, making movies, funding them, and getting them out there. Whatever way possible, we're open to whatever opportunities are out there. And like we've been talking about this entire interview, it's about us taking those steps in order to do it. And even right now, we're kind of in a sort of growing pain of, just more involvement, more initiation in what we're doing. Right now, we're just going around and cold turkey pitching commercial scripts that we have for local businesses around here.
Doing something.
Yeah, just doing it and just seeing if anybody will take a bite, it's just going through those growing pains, and we're pitching around 2 TV series right now and planning on writing a couple more feature films. So we've already got a couple other feature films written on the plate, but they need revising. So it's just kind of like throwing all these eggs out there and seeing which one winds up in the basket too, and working hard at everything. But I think you also need to be specific with those visions too at the same time.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
But we're just looking to grow and seeing what happens with it.
Yeah. I think I may know the answer to this question. This will be our final question. If you could have a conversation with anyone, living or departed, who would it be and why?
Is it Christopher Nolan? Is
that... That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
No, I didn't want to answer for you.
No, I think... Okay, Christopher Nolan or maybe Steven Spielberg.
Okay.
Probably Christopher Nolan, though.
Okay.
Just because... Honestly, I would love to just be on a set with him and just watch everything that's going on. Like, I'd love to just learn how everything works, because still don't know how everything works on those big budget movies and stuff, but I just love to see how that works and love to see how he works with people and how that whole flow goes.
Yeah.
So it's more of like not necessarily a philosophical wisdom, conversation.
Right,
it's more of like, how does this work? How do you do this type conversation?
Exactly. Well, I mean, yeah, I know how much fun I had and how much knowledge I grew from just watching, you guys film Little Notes.
Really?
Oh, yeah,
That's
awesome.
awesome.
It was
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
So
Well,
cool.
you know how to shoot things guerrilla style.
Exactly.
So, yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Well, Cody, we thank you for coming out here, man. Really appreciate it, guys. Well, how do they get a hold of you? How do they get a hold of with Unseen Path Production?
Okay, so you could find Unseen Path Productions on the Little Notes to Heaven website right now.
Mm-hmm.
We will be getting an Unseen Path Productions website, but you can find us there. And then you can also find us on YouTube in order to look up our videos and things.
Okay.
And we're also on all social media platforms. We're usually really good at getting back to people when they message us and stuff.
Okay.
So we are available on all those different levels.
Awesome. Well, thanks, brother. Really.